Dr. Wilhelm Reich was the inventor of the Orgone Accumulator. The accumulator accelerates the process of healing, similar to a paper cut or bruise healing itself, but at a much faster rate, using energy from us, each one of us. Negative energy disrupts the flow of life through the body.
All animals and all plants communicate with vibration.
Here are the facts. In China, it's called qi, and in India, it's known as prana. In the West, we call it the soul. But what exactly is it?
All organisms communicate by vibrations and know if they're in a good place or a bad place by reading the vibrations. If we were, when we were young, were taught to be sensitive to the vibrations, we would not find ourselves in bad relationships and bad places. But we are usually told not to go by our feelings, but to listen to what people have to say.
In the West, we call it the soul. But what exactly is it? To the religious, it's a spark of divinity that connects us to the universe. To the skeptics, it's a series of chemical interactions within the brain. Billions of people believe in spiritual energy, but there's no scientific proof of its existence. Modern science has disproven many historical notions of this energy, but the search continues. Some people think the search for the soul ended decades ago with a man named Wilhelm Reich. Born in 1897, Wilhelm Reich studied psychoanalysis under Sigmund Freud. Freud's theory on the libido fascinated Reich, who believed that the libido was a real physical energy. He moved to the US, where he began research on this energy. He called it orgone. According to Reich, this energy permeated the universe, and orgone imbalances could create health problems. Reich claimed orgone treatment could combat cancer.
Vibrations change the proteins of the body. And the proteins give us our structure and our function. So the vibrations can alter our health and our biology.
In the 1930s, Dr. Wilhelm Reich, a prominent Austrian physician and psychoanalyst, discovered a powerful new physical energy, and for the next 2 decades, devoted his life to the investigation of its laws and properties. He confirmed the existence of this energy in the human body, verified its presence in the atmosphere, developed instrumentation to observe and collect it, and harnessed it for a variety of purposes, from cancer treatment to weather experimentation. Reich called his discovery Orgone Energy. But tragically, it was a discovery that the world was not ready for.
These theorists say Reich was singled out because his orgone accumulators worked. He did not request payment when treating people, and he held demonstrations to prove the effectiveness of the technology, chiefly focusing on the orgone chamber. These boxes are made from layers of wood, wool, and metals. According to Reich, they concentrate ambient orgone energy, which can cure physical ailments.
University of Oslo, 1935. While continuing to teach and develop his innovative therapeutic techniques, Reich began a series of laboratory experiments to verify the existence of a physical, biological energy expressed in the emotions. Using human subjects, Reich was able to demonstrate a charge at the skin surface directly related to feelings of pleasure or anxiety. The charge would increase when a subject experienced pleasure and decrease during feelings of unpleasure. From this, Reich concluded that pleasure is the movement of biological energy toward the periphery of the organism, while anxiety is the movement of this energy toward the center. He assumed this energy to be electrical.
Every cell in your body has a minus voltage on the inside and positive voltage on the outside. Every live cell is a battery. Every cell has about 1.4 volts, not too much. 50 trillion cells in the body times 1.4 volts is 700 trillion volts of electricity in your body right now. And with training and meditation, you can focus this energy called qi. And then there's something called a signal. The signal can be a chemical, like a drug, a hormone, a growth factor. Or a signal can be a vibrational wave. Proteins respond to good vibes and bad vibes. All atoms create waves. All of the waves together is called a field. And the reason is that there's a force field, a force, and you can't go through that force. And atoms are miniature tornadoes. So you are made out of atoms, but you also are the field. So you are connected to everything because you can't separate waves.
Reich also used Orgone to operate his cloudbuster, which he claimed could manipulate cloud cover.
The cloudbuster, for example, was an experimental instrument that could affect weather patterns by altering concentrations of orgone energy in the atmosphere. A set of hollow metal pipes and cables inserted into water creates a stronger orgone energy system than that in the surrounding atmosphere. Water, which strongly attracts and absorbs orgone, draws the atmospheric energy through the pipes. This movement of orgone from a lower to a higher energy system was used by Reich to create clouds and to dissipate them. In 1953, during a long drought that threatened the Maine blueberry crop, several farmers offered to pay Reich if he could bring rain to the parched region. The Weather Bureau had forecast no rain for several days when Reich began his cloud-busting operations. 10 hours later, a light rain began to fall. Over the next few days, close to 2 inches fell. The blueberry crop was saved.
Archived newspaper articles report the cloudbuster's alleged success. So if Orgone is real and potentially beneficial, why did the government crush Reich?
In February 1954, the FDA filed a complaint for injunction against Reich in the federal court in Portland, Maine. The complaint declared that orgone energy does not exist. It asked the court to prohibit the shipment of accumulators in interstate commerce and to ban Reich's published literature, which they claim was labeling for the accumulators. Reich responded to the complaint with a lengthy letter to Judge John Clifford, explaining that he could not appear in court since doing so would allow a court of law to judge basic scientific research. Scientific matters, he wrote, can only be clarified by prolonged, faithful, bona fide observations in friendly exchange of opinion, never by litigation. I therefore submit, in the name of truth and justice, that I shall not appear in court. Judge Clifford did not accept Reich's letter as a valid legal response, and the injunction was issued on default, as if Reich had never responded at all. But the injunction was even more excessive than the initial complaint. It ordered that all orgone energy accumulators and their parts were to be destroyed. It ordered all materials containing instructions for the use of the accumulator to be destroyed as well. It also banned a list of Reich's books containing statements about orgone energy, until such time as all references to orgone energy were deleted. After the initial shock, Reich continued his work, traveling to Arizona to experiment with the cloudbuster in the dry desert environment. While he was there, and without his knowledge, one of Reich's students, Dr. Michael Silvert, moved a truckload of accumulators and books from Rangeley, Maine to New York City. a direct violation of the injunction. As a result, the FDA charged Reich and Silvert with criminal contempt of court. In 1956, both men were found guilty. Reich was sentenced to 2 years in a federal prison. While Reich appealed his sentence, the government carried out the destruction of accumulators and literature. In New York City, several tons of Reich's books and other publications were burned in one of the city's garbage incinerators, including titles that were only to have been banned. This destruction of literature constitutes one of the most heinous acts of censorship in United States history. All appeals denied. On March 11, 1957, 2 weeks shy of his 60th birthday, Wilhelm Reich was imprisoned at the federal penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. He died there of heart failure 8 months later, on November 3, 1957, and was buried at Orgone.
Most theorists believe factions in the government and the medical industry repressed Reich's work because it threatened the status quo. Other theorists believe President Eisenhower enlisted Reich in a covert war against extraterrestrials and that the arrangement soured. Both of these groups are short on proof and resort to rumors, but the FDA's actions are suspicious. After stalling transportation of the device, the agency collected Reich's literature and burned it in incinerators. Reich died of heart failure in prison in 1957. Today, he's a controversial figure, on the fringes of psychology and at the heart of conspiracy theories. Which image is closer to the truth?
In medicine, we don't study energy. The reason is the drug companies sell chemicals, they don't sell energy. But remember, all atoms give off energy and all atoms absorb energy. And when two energies interfere, you can change the power from zero, from destructive, to increase the power, constructive interference. The field is the sole governing agency of the particle. And so that the energy in visible fields shape matter. So your life, your physical life, is controlled by the field, and that's from Albert Einstein. We see people as physical particles and machines, but that's an illusion, because what we are interacting waves. That's why one person can affect another person just by being in the field. You are made out of protein, so the energy in your body that controls the protein is a vital force. So the new science brings back the old story of vital forces controlling life. So when a signal binds to a protein, what happens to the protein? It moves, it makes behavior. Now, if you are healthy, your behavior is good. But if you have a dis-ease, the behavior is not right. Question: what can cause disease? Either the protein is bad or the signal is bad. Now, look, there are only 3 ways to mess up the signal. 1, trauma. Number 2, toxins. If the chemistry is not good inside the body, the signal cannot be passed through bad chemicals. But the third one is thought. The mind. There's nothing wrong with the body. It's just sending the wrong signal at the wrong time.
Thank you for watching, and much love to you all.